Of course, you're welcome back to the discussion segment of the program. We're actually expecting two guests, but we have one already in the house, and we're looking at the transition committees. The nomination was done recently by the state governor, and as we speak, the screening is ongoing. It will be concluded today by the Ogun State House of Assembly, talking about a five-member committee each for the 20 local governments that we have in Ogun State to actually pilot the affairs of the local government, which is believed to be the closest form of government to the people. And of course, that is going to be our focus of discussion this morning. Transition committees, hopes and challenges.
Yeah, we have in the studio Ambassador Tunde Oladunjoy, who will be discussing some of our questions. We'll be throwing some questions to you, and then hope to give you some leeway, and you will tell Nigerians what we need to know about these transition committees. Do we really need these transition committees at this stage of governance in Ogun State?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning. It's good to be in your new studio. It's my first time here. I knew it was opened officially, and this is my first time.
You're welcome, sir.
I want to say good morning to our viewers at home. Transition committee is what we have come to live with in Nigeria in terms of local government administration, and you know our democracy is evolving, and our constitutionalism is progressing, and nature abhors vacuum. The last local government administration ended their tenure, I think around last year, October. And between then and now, the local government administration has been run by civil servants. I mean, the career officer. That was not envisaged by the Constitution.
Okay.
So the caretaker committee, the transition committee now, is like when you have a transition government that will move that administration from the current level of being run by career officers and manage things till they will now hand over to elected representatives of the people at the local government. So in that light, I think we need to have representative of government at the local level, even if it is going to be a transition, or what you call caretaker now, because you find out that the career officers are not from any wards. They are political, and when you have a transition body or committee at local government, they emanate from the people. They are representatives of the people, especially in this present administration of Prince Dakwa Abiodun. I can tell you that those names you have as members of the transition committee are being screened now by the House of Assembly were got bottom up. You know, they was nominated by the structures, the political structures at the various local governments. It's not as if the governor is just sitting at Abeokuta and imposing those nominees on the people. That's one. Secondly, after the nomination, they have to be subjected to the screening by the House of Assembly. It is not an automatic thing that once the governor nominates you, you are there. No, they will have to be screened. And if there is anyone not approved or passed by the House of Assembly, you have to look for a replacement. And on this note, maybe you are not yet aware, I want to express my sympathy to the people of Ipokia local government. The chairman nominee, I just learned on my way here, died after after a brief illness, and we pray that may his soul rest in peace.
Okay, may his soul rest in peace. That's a sad one there, but what can we do? We want to look at it holistically, Ambassador Ladunjoye. And of course, at times when I ask my question, it's going to be away from Ogun State because it's what naturally happens. Now, a governor comes into power, the last in the life of the local government, so to say, most governors, it doesn't really matter whether from the same party or from other party,
Yep.
takes over, and you know, you find out that maybe the outgoing governor just had the local government election, and of course they were settling down, or they have settled down. Now that governor comes into power, and of course just scraps the local government, the elected people, and because he wants to settle down to know what is happening. Now, what is the place of law about this? Now, the election has taken place. They are yet to complete their term when a new governor takes over, and of course scraps them, begin to move towards a transition towards having another local government administration.
Well, you know quite well that I am an advocate of local government autonomy in this country. I've spent years fighting for local government autonomy. I've been victimized. You know, eventually I had my council administration dissolved, but I've not changed my position on the autonomy of local governments. It is a constitutional provision, and there are issues bordering on executive powers, executive lawlessness, attempt to dictate to the local council administration. And there have been various explanations or attempts to justify it. Some people will say, you see, the local government, they have to be managed by the state, even their funds will have to be managed by the state, because if they allow them autonomy to manage their funds, they will not pay teachers. And I say, is it possible for the federal government to take over the running of the state government when the state government is owing salaries of staff and what have you? So that is not a justification. But part of the problem we have is that the tenure of the local government administration all over is 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not sure that is a constitutional provision. The Constitution provides for local government, elected administration at the local government. I think the Constitution is silent on the tenure.
Tenure, yeah.
Okay.
So the tenure for local government is 3 years. That of the governor at the state level is 4 years. So you always have this 1 year
Yes.
overlapping,
Overlapping.
you know. And I don't think what the people at the helms of affairs or a governor coming in should do was to remove the elected local government administration. It is a settled matter in law. There are various judgments of the appeal court. Recently, we had Supreme Court, and when when my administration was dissolved, we went to court to challenge, and people were now calling me recently to say that no, there's a Supreme Court judgment outlawing the dissolution of the local government. And I said, we are not saying something new. It's been there. There are various judgments. In fact, if you look at the Constitution itself, having provided for the local government, and the Constitution has this section 67, section 7 rather, said that whatever law for promulgations that contradicts the Constitution is null and void to the extent of its contradictions. So any arrangement that is against the local government administration or running of local government as provided by the Constitution is wrong. Interestingly and fortunately for us in Ogun State, in the case of Prince Dapo Abiodun, we didn't have the solution of the past local government. Before he came in, there has been issues, there has been petitions against the elected administration then. They were suspended and asked to appear before the House of Assembly, which looked into the matter for some months before they were recalled. Of course, when they were recalled, some people said, including those who were recalled, were saying we were recalled few weeks to the expiration of our tenure. You know, and I said, look, you are looking at it from one angle. Now look at this angle. You are going to leave that place, as elected
Chairman.
chairman, not
A suspended
not
one.
dissolved, not a suspended chairman, which means you will still have entitlements to your gratuities and other parting allowances, and nobody will be able to refer to you as a dissolved or suspended local government chairman. You say, no, okay, now we know. It is not what is happening, for example, in Oyo State. I know there are struggles over it, and I want to say with due respect that it's a general problem.
Before charity comes in, is it not now? This is let's take an example of Augustine. The transition committee will be in place any moment from now.
Yeah.
They've been nominated. Yes, you say, is it not, why is it difficult for state governors to just have, okay, transition committees, and of course, make sure that by the time we have the election, by the time their times in the office is expiring, it will just lapse with the time the governor is also leaving. So that it will be...
That would be very ideal, and with this new arrangement now, you know, the tenure of the transition committee usually is 3 months. It could be reviewed by the House of Assembly. Yeah. And in some cases, or many cases, some governors who are just coming into office, local government election would not be their immediate engagement priority, because they have to settle down, form structures of government
after the first year,
yes.
that they will
so when you so when you now have a government in place, when you now have a caretaker committee, you now know that the earliest you can have election is about 4 months or so, because according to the guidelines of the independent, the state electoral body that organize local government elections, you will need to give, I think, 90 days notice, which is, 3 months, you know. So I also feel that it will be less cumbersome, it will be less controversial if we can have an arrangement where the tenure of the local government administration will end with the tenure of the state's outgoing governor. Yeah. But the question we also ask yourself, which we also still happen, is at the end of that, are we going to have the local government election and the state government state election together? No. It is organized by different bodies. Yeah, and the governor that is just coming in, will he have as his priority immediate organization of the local government election to tally with his own tenure? So those are where the issues are, and I think the constitution is not really specific on the tenure.
All right, comrade ambassador, we'll call you comrade too, because you've been on
I have many titles.
We want to know, these transition committees, do we have a law in Nigeria backing their enactment? Do we have any law backing their coming to power in Nigeria?
I have said before that the local government administration is provided for.
I mean the national law.
Yes, I have said before that the constitution provides for elected local government administration. And in Ogun State, for example, at the end of the tenure of the last administration, the council up till now, the local government councils are being run by civil servants. That is not the idea of the people who made that our constitution. And because you are not going to leave out vacuum, and because you are not going to allow that to go on forever, that is why it is important to have this kind of committee. That's why they call them caretaker committee, to midwife elected administration, which the career officers are not placed to do. Yeah. So when you now talk of, I think what you will say is the popular saying of have a bread is better than none. You know. So you cannot have the council being run permanently by the civil servant. It is not in their purview. You know. So if you now have people coming, respected people from the local government, known people being appointed as caretaker committee, they will midwife the coming into being of the elected local government administration.
All right, we're still looking at the transition committees. First of all, let's take this quick one before we take this break. Transition committee, caretaker committee is just a matter of numeric
semantics, yes.
Semantics?
Yes.
The same?
Yes.
All right, we'll take this break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We want to welcome Comrade Ayuba Olatunji, who is the president of the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees in Ogun State. He's also part of the program, and we're still looking at transition committees, hopes and challenges. Comrade Ayuba Olatunji, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
All right, but I'll still go to Ambassador Olatunji. Now we have a five-man committee in place for 20 local governments. Normally, maybe if you have it, when you're going to have an election, you have about 10 councillors.
Depending on the ward.
Depending on the ward. Now, smaller units. Now, will they be able to meet the aspiration of the people despite the uniformity in number? You said depending on the ward.
Yes.
Now, maybe in some local governments, 5 could be okay, but in some local governments, you want to say, can 5-man committee actually get to the grassroots and give the dividends of democracy?
Okay, I think there's no local government in Ogun State with just 5 wards. We have, I think the minimum we have is about 10 wards.
Yeah.
We have local government 11 wards, like when Jebu is, Shagamu 15 wards. But you must know that there is also no limit to the number of members of the caretaker committee you could have. Okay. But you must bear in mind the effects and the consequences. You know, if you say it's a local government administration, it's a caretaker administration, you don't give it a full composition of elected administration. Okay. For example, in Ijebu, we have 11 wards. So elected administration will give us 11 councillors. You are going to have supervisors. You are going to have special advisors to the chairman. You are going to have personal assistant to the chairman, secretary. You are going to have SLG and what have you. You know, and all these are cost inventive. You know, so a caretaker committee should be smaller, just to manage that transition from what you have at present, where the place is being run by a career officer, till, into the coming elected administration. So usually local government caretaker committee, from experience from antecedent, the composition is usually not more than 7 members, you know, to reduce costs and to also let them know that it's just a transition committee, not a full-fledged elected administration.
That means they are there to work for the coming...
For the just to supersede and to supervise the installation of the elected administration. And while they are running the local government pending the elected administration, you know that the electoral body is the state independent, the state electoral body, the election committee that will supervise local government administration. And I think it's also good, it's also a sort of shelter to protect the career officers from politicking.
Okay. Okay, now we're having Comrade Ayuba Olatunji, and we know that you've been in this local government as the president. You are the president of the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees in Ogun State, and we know that you must have worked in so many local governments before you became the president.
Also waged so many struggles.
Before you became the president of the NOGI. Now, we want to ask you, you've been working with this political class year in, year out. Now we will be having a new transition committees in the 20 local government areas. What have been the synergy between the employees and this political class from your experience?
Well, I want to thank you very much for the beautiful question. Yes, I want to agree with you that we have been existing for some years ago, and we have worked with so many political functionaries host various parties. Our synergy has always been cordial, sometimes, but sometimes our relationship has always been the kind of Oga and Namosha relationship. That is a kind of dictatorial relationship. In the past, the role of career officers are mainly advisory. When administrative political functionaries come out with their programs, all we as career need to do is to say, this is legitimate, this is not legitimate. Can we look at it this way? But unfortunately, we don't have a power of dictation that you must not do this and you must not do this. All we can do is, by social regulation, what you intend to do, the way you want to do it, is illegitimate. Can we do this? Can we do that? But if such leaderships, that is political leaderships, overrides that, then we have next to nothing to do other than to obey whatever the administration says he intends doing, irrespective of whether such thing is legitimate or not. The advice we need to do, where we fail to advise appropriately, and such projects are embarked upon, then the onus lies on us to account for such mistakes of that leadership. But when it is overridden over, then whatever happens thereafter becomes the issue of the leadership of that local government politically.
Either elected or nominated, just as we have now, what are the things you expect them to do first to make them settle in each local government? From the northern point of view, what do you expect members of this transition committee to do first? And how do you interface with them to make sure that they settle quickly and start work immediately?
First and foremost, when they, whether elected or appointed, as the case it may be, when they resume office, when they resume duty, the very first thing is to meet with the leadership, the career leadership of the local government. Discuss with them, come out with the way they want the local government to be run. The career officer will in turn give reports of the existing situation in the local government, the facilities that are abandoned in the local government, how it was run in the past, what are the challenges of the past, what are the gains of the past. That will be discussed along the line. Then, depending on the programs of the incoming administration, the career will now want to guide and make sure that their projects, their programs are implemented and achieved successfully. After doing that, there is the need for the chairman to meet with the entire staff, tell them their programs, we familiarize with ourselves. This is the way I want it, in terms of punctuality, in terms of project, in terms of economic development of the local government, and so on and so forth. When these are done, then the union bodies in the local government will have to be met with too. So when they meet with them, because we have, as a body, have a role to play in the development of the local government. Because when issues ensued, either positively or negatively, particularly negatively, it is the union that will now intervene between the management and the hearing officers. And by so doing, if the union are involved at the ad initio, at the beginning of the program, then we'll be able to tell our workers, our members, if you must do this and this thing happens, don't have a recourse to the union, because we don't want to condone indolence. We don't want to condone any act that is ultra-vires that have negative effect on the local government system. So by so doing, I think the council will move on a good note. And each of the projects they presented will be prioritized, and will begin to take one after the other subject to the availability of the resources.
Okay, Comrade Ayuba, I want to take you once again. We know that before actual election, there will be a transition committee. But before this transition committee, as the government worker, so to say, would take over the council and administer it at this point. At this point of administration, where before the transition committee, what do you actually do? Do you do your things according to what the government at the state would tell you to do, or you do it according to what have been planned for you to do before the transition committee?
Yeah, before transition committees, like I said ab initio, I told you we do not have power to implement certain policies of government until we have political appointees, whether elected or appointed. In between transition, in between caretaker committee that will usher in the incoming government, what the local government, the administrators does is that they just maintain the skeleton jobs of the local government.
And pay salaries.
And pay salaries as dictated by the state government.
Okay.
And in fact, it is being regulated to the extent that whatever naira you want to use to run the local government, you have to seek permission. They have to know exactly what you intend to use the money for. And that has been the system.
Okay.
So capital projects within that period, no, except it is granted because of exigencies. If you must do any capital projects within that period, there must be a very good reason for it, and you must obtain the permission of His Excellency.
Not even the uncompleted one before the committee?
We can't do it without the permission of the government.
Okay.
So these have been the programs within the period.
Comrade Andrew, I know that even at the national level, dropping down to the state level, talk less of the local government level, when elected members come, especially at the legislative level, come into power, some of them don't even have an idea of how, what they are there for, not because they don't know anything, but because that's why we have retreat. This is how we go about the business of the legislative. This is how we go about it. We always have retreat at the national level, at the state level, even at the local government level. Now, you can't talk about retreat now because we have not had an election that will bring the councillors together to interact with some of those who will give them the do's and the don'ts. 5 members have been chosen. So, what was the quality, or what were the qualities considered before these members were chosen so that they could just go there and start work immediately? No time for retreat. You cannot have a 5-man committee and say any of them don't know what they are there for when it comes to transition or caretaker committee, as the case may be. I know that as the party secretary in the state, you will know the antecedents of some of those that have been nominated. What are the things considered so that members or those that are in the grassroots where they are going to govern will know that yes, we have capable people that are going to take affairs off the local governments?
Well, thank you very much. Let me first make a correction that I'm not the secretary of the party. I'm the publicity secretary.
Public secretary, rather.
So if you identify me as secretary, I may not be able to, I may not be admitted back to the secretariat.
Public secretary, yeah.
You know, one unique thing about this administration, President Akpabio administration, and which we have seen on the issue of this, even on our commissioner nominees and now the local government transition nominees, is that it comes from the grassroots. The nomination, they were nominated. It's not that the governor sat in Abeokuta and started writing names and making announcements. No. The structures back at home, the leadership back in the grassroots was consulted, contacted, and asked to make nominations. It is not something that is just dumped on them. And in making this nomination, one of the things we look at is character. You know, what is the character of somebody, for example, that wants to head the local government administration? Are you going to make a secondary school dropout as chairman of the transition committee? Are you going to make somebody who has not managed Oladunjoye and Sons before to go and manage a local government, even if it is for a short period of transition? It is very important to go for quality, and this has been part of the problems of the past. And one thing you get from that mode of selection is that the people will own it. It is not impossible that in some places you have 2 people vying for the chairmanship of transition. It's not impossible that you have 2 lists from a local government. It's not impossible that you have 3 lists from a local government. But the party at the state level, the government at the state level will sit down together and harmonize and see how we can have unity. And when you have such transition committee, the first thing is that people will own it. They will see it as their own. They will get immediate cooperation from the people. Don't forget that their statutory functions also include, creating a synergy with the people, in the sense that you have to collect rates in the market. If the local government people see you as an opposition, the market women will not cooperate with you. You have to relate with traditional rulers. You have to relate with a lot of people at the grassroots. So, one, the mode of appointment is key, and in this case, it is from the grassroots. Secondly, we have looked at the character, of the people, the qualification, the experience, and I cannot deceive you. We have looked at the loyalty. Is it somebody that is always loyalty in this instance to the party? Because the party has its agenda in terms of education, in terms of agriculture. Same for the governor. Do you have somebody who will be loyal and keep faith with that kind of agenda, or somebody who says, I'm going to the council, this is my only opportunity, this is my last chance, let me grab whatever I can grab, And don't forget that during the campaign, Prince Dakwabedo told the whole world that I am going to strengthen the local government. I am going to support the local government to make them do what is expected of them, especially in projects. Because you look at, in the last 12 years in Ogun State, for example, how many local governments have tar road? Or maybe we will say the last 8 years. How many local governments have tar road? They keep complaining, we only get 2 million naira per month, and out of 36 months, we only got 6 or 7. So that is about 14 million for 36 months. What is that local government going to do with that? So we need to return recognition back to the local government. And I used to say it, that those who created local government joint accounts with the state, their only idea was to use the state account to transfer the funds to the local government. Because if you are a local government chairman, in this case elected, you cannot build schools. We are not saying you should build hospitals. We are saying you should build health centers. If you cannot build school, you cannot build health centers, you cannot renovate markets, you cannot supply tools for your primary schools pupils, then in the voice of Emanuela, I will say, is that one a local government chairman? We've had past local government administration in this country, in this state, and we knew what they did in those areas. What now led to the drop in value was the issue of imposition. Where somebody will just sit down at the state capital and write names. And whether the local government chairman is performing or not, once he's governor's boy, you can't do anything. Even if the whole community, if the traditional rulers should write a petition against the local government chairman to the governor, once he's governor's boy, you can't do anything. So they are like administrators who are not military administrators who are not accountable to the people. So I pray and hope and support the plan now that we want to see quality people in the local government administration. And if you look at the nomination of this transition committee, if you look at what is happening outside, you've not had much noise because it came from the grassroots. Not everybody will be picked from the nominees from the grassroots, but the governor has not gone out of his way to pick outside the list that has been submitted. The same thing we did with the commissionership list. Of course, after the commissionership list, there were some little noise there because people could not make the list, but they could not say that the governor picked outside the list submitted by the party. If in your local government you didn't agree to one name and you submitted two, and the governor picked one of the two, he has not stepped outside what you brought. And you find out that in a short while, the noise just went down. And I think this governor wants to do things in a different way. People may say the pace is slow, but it's better to get it right. You know, and in politics, in our political structure and arrangement, so far, we have been contacting the grassroots. Nothing has been dictated to the grassroots.
Okay. Ambassador Olatunji, we are still on you, sir. And we know that in Ogun State, some times ago, local government LCDAs were curated.
Yeah.
But we, on this nomination, transition committee nomination, there were no local government LCDA chairman or committee for them. What informs this? What do you think?
I mean, just to add to that means, are we tilting towards, well, by the time we have local government elections, just Ogun State people know that it's going to be 20 local governments.
Without the LCDs?
Yeah, if you look at the present composition of the transition committee, they have been announced for 20 local governments. Yes. And invariably we may have 20 elected. Since they are transiting, they are organizing that transition, we may have 20 local government administration. On the issue of SCDA, I think the last governor that created that, the SCDA, went to the House of Assembly. And I think this transition committee is also being screened for 20 local governments by the same House of Assembly. So I believe that the same House of Assembly should know better. That's one. Secondly, as an activist, the creation of the 37 local governments, I can say personally, on my personal view, that they were created for creation's sake. They were not created for development's sake. Because local government administration is the closest to the people. And if you are creating SCDA, you should take them further to the people. You should take the projects further to the people. But we are now saying that both the local government council and the SCDAs got 2 million naira or 14 million naira through the entire 36 months. So the objective of creating the SCDA was even defeated. Additionally, constitutionally, there is no SCDA. Like in my own local government now, there is no Ijebu Central SCDA in Nigeria's constitution. There is also no Ijebu local government council that is limited to half in the constitution. And I must tell you that even we got petitions, letters, protests from different NGOs. They've written the present governor. As they wrote the last governor, they've written the present governor that he must not continue, he must not proceed with 37 SCDA. And they are even threatening court actions.
Comrade Ayuba, from the Norgay point of view, what is the position on the full autonomy of the local government?
Very good.
Then, this LCDA issue, do you think you local government employees perform better if there would be, just as I said, concrete LCDAs for the people? I want you to talk on it. While you are talking about the full autonomy of the local government, also, because some of your employees too were transferred to this LCDA. Did they work? Were they just sitting down? So,
do they have offices?
Well, from that experience, what is the position of Norgay on full autonomy? What is the position of Norgay on LCDA? It doesn't matter the number now.
Now, the position of the union on full autonomy of the local government remains unchanged. For the past 2 years, we have been on it advocating for the autonomy. Though we realize there is nowhere in the world that full autonomy is granted to local government. all that we are demanding is substantial power given to the local government, particularly the financial and administrative autonomy. Why are we saying that? We are not unaware of the fact that local government is a creation of the states because Nigeria is operating federalism. So, and there should be a kind of checks and balances, and that is where the legislative arm, that is the assembly, the state assemblies have oversight function over the local government, while the executive has the supervisory function over the local government to ensure that resources of the local government are judiciously utilized and people at the grassroots enjoy the dividend of democracy. Having said that, the National Assembly have done much on these regards to ensuring that local government is autonomous. The challenges are with the state governments, with the state assemblies. And I want to give it to Ogun State. In each of the 2 times that the thing was sent to the state for assent, Ogun State government did it. And we still believe whenever it is sent to Ogun State, it will be done. While we are appealing to other states to see reasons. If the Western world are operating multi-levels local governments, I wonder why we cannot do that in Nigeria. And we have our leaders going for retreats, workshops, international seminars on local government administration. Take, for example, in the UK, they have 2 types of local governments. They have the special, they have the general purpose local governments. We are here, they have the counties, the municipalities, and some others like that, which they are functioning. In America too, the same thing. In Japan, that has almost the same structure with that of Nigeria, they have the prefectures, they have the municipalities. The municipalities are under the prefectures, while under the prefectures, under the municipalities, we have some wards, we have property councils, and so on like that. If they are operating and they are operating successfully, and the development of the community is getting to the grassroots, we wonder why that cannot be done here in Nigeria. Let me just relate that one to Nigerian factor. In Japan, the prefectures are like the modern local government we have. That is the 20 local government we are mentioning now. The municipalities can be equated to the local government council development areas. The unfortunate incidence along this line is the fact that the objective of creating the local government was defeated when it was created, particularly in terms of funding as said by...
You mean the LCDAs?
The LCDAs.
Okay.
Ordinarily, the local government should be funded, the LCDA should be funded, and that is...
Separately.
Yes, and that is why and how the LCDA can deliver. Because they're supposed to be the most closest to the government. For us in Norge, we still canvass and we still appeal to state government not to throw the entire system of LCDs away because of the benefits inherent in it. I will give you examples. If you go by the financial, the internally generated revenue of the local governments when they were 20, it is far, far below when we put local government and LCD together in terms of revenue generation. When we talk of in terms of political development of the local government systems, many people will be encaptured in the system because local government is considered to be the political training for all the political, the intended political leaders. Apart from that, career-wise too, the capacity building of the entire members of staff in the local government and LCDs is on the increase. I will give an example. Resulting from the creation of local governments, many workers got promotions and they engaged them in training and retraining, meaning and giving them the opportunity to be more developed in terms of their career. I am a benefactor of the scheme of the LCDA. Because of that LCDA, we were sent for another course at Obafemi Awolowo University to study local government, to study courses on local government. And this has empowered and increased our own skill to inject more meaningfully into the system. That's an appeal to us.
So objectivity should be the key word.
Objectivity should be the
in the creation of LCDA.
If,
not that the
if it is objective, it will give the well-meaning purposes for which local government and LCDA should be created. And what are those purposes? Creation of local government has three major reasons: democratic development, economic development, and provision of infrastructure, social amenities to our people. The other aspect that we can mention is about the legislative functions of the local government. So if these are to be are done, at least we encourage the government not to jettison the entire system of the LCDA, but where there are errors, there can be corrections.
Quickly, want to react?
Yes,
I can see the body.
I just want to correct the impression first that the local government administration is not a creation of the state government. It's a creation of the constitution.
Yeah.
It is expressly stated in the constitution that there shall exist tiers of government and democratically elected local government administration. You know, and part of the reasons for sort of non-performance is what I've mentioned in the past, that many people we had got appointed or elected based on some people liking their face, some council chairmen never knew their left from their right. For example, as a council chairman, I didn't need to go and seek approval of the governor to do projects in my local government, except where and when I embarked on road construction. To build a primary health center, I built two during my 2 years administration. I never went to Abeokuta to get approval because the cost of that is under 4 million naira, and my local government approving power is 4 million. So if I want to build classrooms, block of 2 classroom furniture, I never went to Abeokuta. But a council chairman who now wanted to build a block of 2 blocks of classroom, a block of 2 classrooms for 10 million, we need to go to Abeokuta to be running after the commissioner and the governor. If you can build the health center, we built 2 bedrooms with all the equipment under 4 million. But a local government that want to build that for 12 million, we have to run after the governor. You know? So those who created local government, as said, you'll be involved in smaller projects. You can build markets. But if you are saying you want to build market store in Ijebu-Mushi for 10 million, you go to and look for, and those who are going to approve it, they know that you have already inflated the cost. So we need selflessness to serve. We need people who are involved, who are experienced. We need people of character to handle the local government administration. And on the SCDA, on the face of the constitution, the SCDA does not exist. And whereby you are now having letters, people protesting and threatening court action, you have to tarry a while and look at it and come up with a solution later on.
Thank you very much. I was going to ask but that will be for another day because we'll find out that some members of these transition committees or critical committees actually graduate again to become full-fledged local government chairman later. It's like a soft landing. But anyway,
if they are so elected.
I don't need election. But we want to thank you very much for having time to come and discuss this issue. Transition committees, hopes and challenges. We want to thank Ambassador Tunde Oladundoye, Publicity Secretary. I won't make that mistake. It was me that called him Secretary. Please, Patty. Publicity Secretary, I'm correcting myself now, for APC. Thank you very much for coming to the program. You said this is the first time of getting to this
Your
studio.
brand new studio.
Thank you very much. And of course, Comrade Ayuba Olatunji is the president of Nolge in Ogun State. Of course, we also talk about the autonomy and of course the place of Nolge as far as LCDA is concerned. But I held on to one word: objectivity if there's going to be LCDA, because it's working somewhere, and of course it's because it is created on the platform of objectivity. Thank you very much for also coming.
We want to thank you. We say see you next time when we call you. We hope you oblige us, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you so
coming.
much.
Now we'll be going to the second segment of this discussion segment, and we'll be having maternal health, reducing child mortality after this break.